Celebrate 25 years of impactful journalism. Please join me with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp is 0244-340-437. I am Emefa Apawu, and Newsnight is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy. Cash-free convenience.
Your success, our passion.
So how the thing end? My God. So we video call like 2 minutes. Then now she say make I take over and meet them. But Charlie, as I hang up where I Rexy, my data finish. See, I roam I no get data back. So after they come look for another phone. Hey my guy, hold up. You see why you for use Vodafone? I be all be the same data. Who tell you? Now with Vodafone, whether you get data or not, you go free use the Uber app with no data charges at all. Hey, this so oh yeah. Now Vodafone the Uber partner. So even if you get data where you use the Uber app, then they tell you anything. Where if you no get data safe, Charlie, you the free use the Uber app. Simple. No data matter bia. Where they be safe be say as you they use the app, you the free get free ride. Where it come with some champion discount. You can now order your Uber ride at no data cost and stand a chance to enjoy free rides and amazing discounts. Switch to Vodafone today.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Joy 99.7 FM.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Let's get into the details now. President Akufo-Addo is assuring that no individual will be spared in the ongoing prosecution of high-profile personalities that served under the previous administration. Delivering the State of the Nation address in Parliament, he disclosed that 40 and more individuals have been indicted for various corrupt practices. Listen.
The Speaker, we've made significant strides over the last 3 years in our fight against corruption, despite of the skepticism of people with questionable records. We've strengthened the legal framework to fight corruption with the help of this House by passing into law the Witness Protection Act 2018 Act 959, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2018 Act 959, the Right to Information Act 2019 Act 989, and the Companies Act 2019 Act 992, which provides a framework for enacting a beneficial ownership register. The government has increased budgetary allocations. All the accountability institutions of state, including the Parliament of Ghana, the Judiciary, SHRAG, EYOCO, the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, the Auditor General, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and the Ghana Police Service, with annual increases between 25% and 34% between 2017 and 2019. We have also implemented a change from the opaque allocation of Ghana's oil blocks to a more transparent allocation process, and advisedly so. The opaque period, 2013 to 2016, saw, according to the Ministry of Energy, the signature of 13 petroleum agreements, from which 14 wells were to be drilled. Not a single well was drilled. In contrast, in my time, over the last 3 years, there have been 6 drilling campaigns on 3 different blocks, with others on the way. We will drill more and find more oil. Some 40 or more high-profile personalities are currently before the courts on various corruption charges, and most are in the pipe. I would like to repeat that if evidence of corruption is presented, no one will be spared, regardless of position or political affiliation. No one is above the law. That is the true meaning of equality before the law.
Now, the president touched on the various sectors of the economy. On the banking sector reforms, for instance, Nana Akufo-Addo said the government is spending 13 billion cedis, that's 13 billion Ghana cedis, to settle 4.6 million customers. He, however, assured that they will hold supervisors and managers of the defined financial institutions in the banking sector cleanup accountable.
Mr. Speaker, we inherited a collapsing financial sector that has led to failing banks and considerable agony to many people. The government is having to conjure 13 billion cedis to pay the 4.6 million affected customers of the banks. This is money that we can ill afford and which would have gone to fund the many things that our communities are crying for. Properly utilized, 13 billion Ghana cedis would work wonders with our perennial infrastructure deficit. But we did think long and hard about paying all the customers of the failed banks, and we believe we made the right decision. I would like to repeat that all depositors of the savings and loans and microfinance institutions, including DKM, which collapsed in 2015, will receive 100% of their deposits too once the validation exercise is concluded. And I'm informed that the receiver of the savings and loans and microfinance institutions will begin on Monday the 24th of February making payments to their customers. These monies totaling 5 billion cedis being in addition to 13 billion cedis being paid to the customers of the failed banks. We hope the lessons have been learned, and this will serve as a healthy caution to those who are offered unrealistic interest rates on deposits. I do not think it will be possible to repeat this grand pay-up in another lifetime. I want to assure Ghanaians that we're going to hold those who have been responsible for these failures of financial institutions, the supervisors and management of these institutions, accountable. A process which has already started. We expect that those whose job it is to supervise the banks and other financial institutions will do their jobs honestly and competently. I'm very encouraged by the many corporate governance measures that have already been put in place by the Bank of Ghana under the strong leadership of Governor Ernest Addison to mitigate such bank failures in the future. Thanks to the banking sector cleanup, today I'm happy to say that Ghana's weak banking sector that we inherited is now well capitalized, better managed, sound and liquid, and the banks are now increasing their lending to the private sector to help propel the transformation of the economy beyond aid.
Now, he also touched on the National Health Insurance Scheme. You know, there's a lot of talk about settling debt when it comes to the National Health Insurance Scheme. President Akufo-Addo says the NHIS is operating more effectively than before, serving over 12 million subscribers.
The National Health Insurance Scheme is operating more adequately and is enjoying the confidence of the increasing numbers of its users. The number of active members up from 10.6 million in 2016 to 12.3 million at the end of 2019. I remember last year I urged Ghanaians to renew their NHIS membership by dialing *929# on any mobile phone network. I'm glad it has had an impact as 5 million people renew their NHIS membership through the Mobile Renewal Services platform in 2019.
So that's President Akufo-Addo. But hospitals under the Christian Health Association of Ghana say they are crippling under unpaid claims by the National Health Insurance Authority. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak to the Deputy Executive Director of the Christian Health Association of Ghana, Dr. James Dia. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So you heard the President. We've been told that the National Health Insurance Scheme is operating effectively than it used to be, but we're told that there's some situation from hospitals under your supervision. How bad is the situation?
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, the National Health Insurance situation, our facilities have not been paid as we expected. We have been paid as a whole up to about March 2019, and this is a little worrying. And more so, our facilities are being disconnected by Electricity Corporation of Ghana. As we speak to you now this morning, one of the biggest hospitals in the Brahafo region, which is St. Mary's Hospital in the Drobo, has been disconnected. Not only residential areas, but even essential areas like theater and wards and all that. And we find this a little strange because it is a national crisis. If we have a hospital that is providing care to that group of people in that area, and theater services are disconnected, then it is worrying. We have needed for insurance payment in order to be able to pay these electricity bills. While that has not come, ECG has gone ahead to disconnect. There are places like Jache Pramso where they are also asked to pay 40,000 Ghana cedis a month. In spite of the fact that national health insurance is not paid, they are still going ahead to disconnect. So that is the issue that we have now. We have a lot of facilities in the northern region and other places which are also being disconnected, even though national health insurance is not paying as expected.
Well, you mentioned a number of hospitals, but in all, though, do we have a figure as to how many of these hospitals have not been paid and have been affected by this?
Well, we have done the calculation of how much is owed. It's about 87 million Ghana cedis.
But is it a case that these facilities that we're talking about rely solely and completely on the National Health Insurance Scheme, such that if they've not been paid, they can also settle their bills?
Well, as you are aware, JAG is a pro-poor organization, and anywhere we operate, we ensure that majority of the people who access our services are on the National Health Insurance. So on the average, you have between 85 to 90% of all clients who access our services holding National Health Insurance cards.
But about how much are you owed, you would say, at least from the checks of those who have been disconnected and those of the facilities that have been complaining? Do you know how much they are owed in all?
We are owed about 87 million Ghana cedis by the National Health Insurance.
87 million Ghana cedis, you say?
Yes.
Is that the figure you put out there?
Yes.
Well, but there have always been complaints. When you bring up these complaints and we put it to the National Health Insurance Authority, for instance, what they tell us is you always delay in making your claims, and then also there are some discrepancies that they have to correct before they can do that. Hence the delay. It's not that they don't want to pay you, but it's mostly your fault. That's how come you're not paid.
Well, the issue of delays have always come up. So what we decided to do as an organization was that 2 years ago, we embarked on a project of electronic claims that was started by the National Health Insurance Scheme, and it's called Claim It. And for this Claim It ensures that once the claims are done, by the 5th of the next month it is submitted. So as I speak to you now, we have about 296 of our facilities that are using the Claim It application, and that ensures that claims are submitted early. So I don't think that the issue is about delay in claim submission. We have gone past beyond the issue of claim submission, because most of our facilities are on the Claim It application that submits claims very early.
But Dr. Dia, finally though, this 87 million Ghana cedis that you talk about, over which period are you owed this money?
So it's between March 2019 to November 2019. I must say that there are some that are owed in bits and pieces in 2018, December and November 2018. There are a few of them that are owed, but majority of them is between March 2019 up to November 2019.
And what reasons have you been giving? I'm sure you've tried to find out from the National Health Insurance Authority. Have they given you any reasons why these monies have not been paid?
Well, we know the NHIS has said that they are making attempts to pay, but I mean, it is not as expected. We haven't had any reasons as to why the delays are made.
Dr. James Dia, we are grateful for your time. He's the Deputy Executive Director of the Christian Health Association of Ghana. And I must say that we've tried to contact the National Health Insurance Authority for some answers over these unpaid claims that we've heard Dr. James Dia talk about. For now, they are unable to give us any answers. As and when they do, of course, joining us will bring you that detail. But you can join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp. It's 0244340437. Let's move on to some other stories now. And why the haste to return to power? That's the question from President Akufo-Addo to former President John Dramani Mahama. The president, who is accusing Mr. Mahama of stagnating the process of the country under his regime, said he has unfinished business to complete. Mr. Akufo-Addo, addressing party supporters after filing his nomination seeking another term in office, argued that Mr. Mahama has not rolled out a single policy or initiative, and yet he is quick to criticize the phenomenal initiatives undertaken by this administration. Mr. Akufo-Addo is convinced he's performed more than expected and deserves another cautioned electorate against voting for the NDC in the December polls, insisting the return of Mr. Mahama and the NDC will erode all the successes achieved by his administration.
Ghana for any basis, Gabayas application. Yes, CBB has been a job. Around the BBA and on pay. I know they be by.
Someone is saying that he has unfinished business, so he is coming back. What was the due
of December
under his regime? The country will progress. He is only coming back to reverse our process. But that won't happen. We are going forward and never going back. Ghanaians will make the mistake. He is only criticizing my initiative, but he hasn't told you what he did do. Is that how to jump in? Ghanaians will unite with one purpose and vote massively for the NPP. NPP is the only hope for Ghanaians. So help me to achieve form of honor. When I am officially elected as a flag bearer, I am going to retain and maintain Dr. Baumia as my running mate.
The party and so we the Obama Yawa Bedi in the Akuma. When you did your Baba Joe, your mom is so far, my baby. Muhammad Bawumia, one of the local. Children say, no change, no cab, no bell,
You have the President Akufo-Addo. He also has a message for his parliamentary aspirants, but we'll get to that shortly. But let's go on the phone and speak to Mr. Felix Kwachefo. So he is one of those who speak for the former President John Dramani Mahama. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, Mr. Felix. Mr. Kwachefo, I beg your pardon. So you've heard the President. He says that you will take us back and asking or questioning the former president why the haste to return to power. What really is it that he wants when he wants to come back to power?
Well, scaremongering is a long-standing strategy for non-performing leaders like President Akufo-Addo. He forgets that every election is in fact a referendum on the performance of the incumbent. So when Ghanaians go to the polls on December 7 this year, they will first of all be carrying out an assessment of his performance and determine whether he has been faithful to them in terms of the promises that he made. And Ghanaians, when they make that assessment, will come to one inevitable conclusion, that President Akufo-Addo has been an appalling failure in terms of his ability to deliver on the promises that he made. From the economy, to education, to health, to corruption, to all the other things that form our national life, he has performed below expectation. they will recall that he promised to ease the cost of living. Today, the cost of living has gone through the roof. He promised to remove taxes. He has imposed even more taxes than before. He promised not to borrow. He has borrowed more than before. He promised to strengthen the city. The city has taken a nosedive. He promised to fight corruption. Today, his record is the worst of any president in the last 5 years or so. His very best performance is worse than President Mahama's worst performance. I mean, look at the state of the Galamsey fight. Whereas he told Ghanaians that he was going to put his presidency on the line to fight the canker, he ended up teaming up with his party people to form a criminal enterprise around it, such that excavators that have been seized have been unlawfully appropriated, some sold, and some used in the Galamsey illegality, such that today our environment is completely destroyed.
And this has been investigated. But I asked a specific question,
yes,
Mr.
I'll come to that. But it's important to set the context. Yes.
Because you're saying what the president has not done, but he's asking why the haste to return to power.
Yes, I'm making the point that when the president came to the people of Ghana in December of 2016, they voted for him on the basis of commitments that he made. So in 2020, people are going to assess his performance. The second leg of it then would be to examine the proposals that the various parties present, because elections invariably are about the future. And then third, they will compare the respective records of the individuals vying for the office of the president. And that is where President Mahama stands head and shoulders above President Akufo-Addo. There is not one single aspect of our national life where President Mahama will not dominate President Akufo-Addo if their respective records will be compared. This is a man who resolved some of the most complex problems that we faced, from education to health to roads to energy to communications to housing. And if you go through these sector by sector, you will find that President Akufo-Addo virtually has no record to compare with. What, for instance, can President Akufo-Addo show in the area of water distribution? What can he show in the area of electricity?
So the question then is, if he achieved all this, what then is he coming back to power to do?
But of course, there's more to do. Our country is by no means where it ought to be. And having demonstrated that he possesses the vision, and having done all the things that I have enumerated, he is better placed than President Akufo-Addo to move this country to the next level. He has said, for instance, that what we need to focus on right now is technical and vocational education. And so once he is elected as president, he is going to ensure that right from second cycle to tertiary level, vocational and technical education will be free. He has also indicated that he will have a program that will ensure that over 200,000 youth who are out of school are roped into technical and vocational education to equip them to face the future with skills that are relevant to the development of this country. He has said, for instance, that he will reverse the obnoxious policies that this government has implemented regarding teachers. He has said that he will scrap the licensure exam. He has said that he will restore automatic promotion. He has said, for instance, that he will also restore automatic employment of teachers. And there are many other policies that he will be rolling out in the coming weeks and months as we head towards the election. So it is not surprising that President Akufo-Addo will resort to scaremongering as a way of diverting attention from the issues that really matter to the people. But we can assure him that when push comes to shove, and we have laid our cards on the table, and Ghanaians have assessed his very poor performance, there will be no doubt that President Mahama is a man who must return to salvage the ship of state which President Akufo-Addo and his team are determined to wreck at the moment.
But briefly though, Mr. Ofosu-Kwakye, this issue always comes up about whether Mr. Mahama was able to roll out any single policy initiative whilst in government. This is not the first time we are hearing this question. Do we have an answer to that?
Emefa, I'm surprised that you allow MPP to roll you into this pedestrian propaganda. Who says that?
Are they? I'm only asking you questions. I take strong exceptions to that.
The questions must be premised on substance. You see, you don't merely channel what the other side sees and say it is a question. When they pose such a question, you ought to critically evaluate it. What makes President Akufo-Addo think that the only time that you can speak about a policy is when you add free to it? When President Mahama decided that it was necessary to expand secondary education, and so he implemented the community-based senior high school concept, was it not a policy aimed at ensuring that tens of thousands of Ghanaian school children who otherwise will not have access gain education. When President Mahama decided that access to healthcare was a problem, and so he pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into expanding health facilities across the country so that people do not sleep on the floor when they go to the hospital. Who says that that is not a policy? When President Mahama decided that we're having challenges with energy, and so he needed to double our generation capacity from under 2,000 to over 4,000. Who can say that that is not a policy in the energy sector? So why do you continue to channel and ask this question that has no relevance, has no substance, and only reflects a very narrow worldview of the new patriotic party, that the only time that you would have implemented a policy is when you attach free to it? I don't think that the discourse must be this narrow. We need to be a bit more broad.
Of course, you may say that is narrow, but the argument is they want something that is novel, not building on what was already in existence.
Who says that before President Akufo-Addo came to power, Ghanaian children were not going to school? Or was he the one who inserted into the Ghanaian constitution that at some point education ought to be made progressively free? So it is important that we don't allow the NPP to narrow the scope of the debate. They are not the ones who determine what a policy is. Every government has made incremental progress in terms of contributing to the development of this country. So when a political party that is fixated with shallow populism comes and recites slogans, one district, one factory, and fails to deliver it, one village, one dam, and goes to big ponds that dry up in the Hamatan season, I don't think that they ought to be touted as the only policies that the government can implement. Every government, every party has a right to determine what direction it takes in terms of adding to the development of this country. And President Mahama has a solid record across all sectors.
Okay.
He doesn't restrict himself to only slogans that do not end up contributing much to national development like the NPP is doing.
So finally, and very briefly, may I find out why Mr. Mahama was not in Parliament today?
Well, Mr. Mahama, as I speak to you, is in the Western North region. He is engaging in what we call the speak out interactions, where he's met a cross-section of Ghanaians to learn at first hand what their priorities are and what they would like to see any future government that he will lead implement. It is an important exercise. It only happens to have coincided with this program, and so he was unable to be there. But he was engaged in an activity that we consider to be useful, that will help in shaping policy that will be beneficial to the people of this country.
So was he represented, or what he was doing was more useful than attending the State of the Nation?
Well, I don't think that you can say one is more useful than the other.
Okay.
But I think that as somebody vying for the highest office of this land, he is permitted to engage the people directly, and he has done so, and it has turned out to be a resounding success. We want to adopt a different strategy. The bottom-down approach has proven to be ineffective. So this time, the top-to-bottom approach has proven to be ineffective. So this time, we are adopting a bottom-up approach where we allow greater participation by the people of Ghana in determining what the priorities of their lives are, so that we can evolve policies that respond directly to those needs that they have. And that is
we'll have to leave it here, Mr. Kwachiofosu. We are indeed grateful for your time. He speaks for the former President John Dramani Mahama. And just before we go for business, ahead of the party's parliamentary primaries, also the President is admonishing parliamentary aspirants against misunderstanding and acrimonies.
The registration there, Mr. Mamo Fernand Diablo, Obia Munin was of 4 by 12, look for the normal social media. No, show the what's the problem? No, but talk by my fine. The party for what they
I urge you to fully participate in the upcoming registration exercise. 5 million people voted for me in the December 2016 election, and I expect these people to register and vote for me again. We will soon elect our parliamentary candidates. I am pleading with all the aspirants to ensure a peaceful process and refrain from confusion and division after the primary. I plead with you to eschew any act that could divide our party and affect our fortunes.
Well, that's President Akufo-Addo today at his party's headquarters. When we return from business, we'll head to the Ashanti Mampong, where divisional commanders opened investigations into Wednesday bloody clashes between supporters of two parliamentary aspirants. That's the NPP parliamentary aspirants over filing of nomination forms. You have the very latest. But it's time now for business. George.
Hi, Emefa. How you doing?
I'm good.
Interesting interview, one would say.
I'm very good. It's okay.
So the president has been talking about the fact that some 5 billion Ghana cedis have been set aside to pay the depositors of the defunct microfinance and savings and loan. We've been hearing from the finance ministry, which they are saying that they began work on this, so to show us that Monday something would happen. And President Akufo-Addo highlights his government's commitment to small enterprises with the business development centers across the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? It's been 25 years of joy and growing startups into big firms in the country.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
I'm back. What kind of phone is this? Hey, Joe, it's the coloring to have a radio. Chance not for you. Uber upgrade. Shasuna dial *120*1#. Nabeka MTN Resume level promo. If we and never pim every busumi in a year, would your Kosuna use with MTN number? No. Do more. Now wait me a winnie. One of the 20,000 iPro Amber 5S phones. Cafe door. Bob, come on. Test it. Now for Chama Monica. Agbena. Kaisa Ubechenu Rintono. So Osaka iPro Amber 5S phone. MTN Radio level promo. New year, new phone, new ringtone. We are good together. We're there for you everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop. With customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
To be successful, you need to have an eye to spot opportunities and a plan to harness them. Amazing products like Waka Now Pay Small Small. Yes, Pay Small Small allows you to lock down great travel deals with a down payment of only 25%, leaving you with cash to meet other pressing needs. You have the liberty to pay the balance in up to 3 convenient installments. Be smart. Use Pay Small Small. Visit wakanow.com.gh to get started.
Waka Now. Let's go.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Deputy Minister for Finance Kuku says they've already begun the process to aid the payment of funds for depositors of the defunct financial institutions. Now, this follows official request from the President for the Ministry to take the necessary steps in clearing all the funds of some of the defunct financial institutions. He tells the business clearing all these funds of these institutions is critical and they are ensuring that everyone is paid.
Well, as the President said, and as had been communicated to the Ministry of Finance earlier on by the President, the government position is that government pays 100% of the value of what the depositors put in those failed financial institutions as the Ministry of Finance, we are preparing to do this. We will comply with the date he set, but essentially, we will do so after the validation has been completed. And the objective is to ensure that the stability of the financial services sector and the confidence people have in our financial services sector will be preserved. That is why government is pursuing this policy.
Deputy Minister of Finance Kweku Kwatin. Let's still stay on this payment because the Association of Savings and Loans Companies have described as adequate the proposed amount that will be paid to depositors of these defunct financial institutions. According to the associations, this may result in everyone getting all their funds instead of it being capped. Chinebu Akodiabuachi is the Executive Secretary of the association.
Of course, 5 billion is released to the public, and of course, the customers receive these 5 billion CDs. It will help them to continue to do their business. It will help them resolve the other issues. There are a number of them who we are sure that they don't actually want to utilize their money, and we want to encourage them to, when they receive their monies, come and bank with us because we are far better today than yesterday. Again, it will also improve the liquidity position in the system. It will help people who are not paying their loans, so pay their loans. It will help people who are not saving to also save some elsewhere. And so we believe that the release of these funds is going to oil the whole system again to improve productivity. And therefore, we are expecting that customers will receive all their money so that everybody will be happy doing business with any savings and loan company.
Tinubu Akodiabuachi is the Executive Secretary of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies. Now, the President has indicated that his government is fully committed to supporting the growth of small enterprises in the country with its business development centers. The project has already seen government build more than 20 centers across the country. Addressing Parliament in the State of the Nation, the President noted that his government will roll out more other initiatives to support businesses in the country.
The BRCs are all being equipped with modern IT infrastructure and network through a virtual private network to facilitate efficient delivery of the operation. We have built 37. We're building 13 more. People that I met during the presidential pitch program, for example, give me a lot of hope and assure me as having the potential to benefit from the BRCs, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovations Plan, NEIP, and take on the world.
That was President Akufo. Let's talk about Joy FM and 25 years. And the head of marketing at Stanbic Bank, Malko Afajin, is asking Joy FM to do more by challenging players in the financial industry to live up to standard. The Afajin has been speaking on his thoughts about Joy FM as Joy FM celebrates 25 years of broadcasting in Ghana. He was speaking to Joy Business after leading the management team of the bank to engage the management team here at Joy FM.
Speaking truth to the industry, to power, to investors. So let me give you one that for me is important. The risk we take when we invest money and where we put our money. Sometimes we seem to forget the basic maxim that the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And so if you go chasing high rewards, you know that your risk is very high. So when I was growing up, Piram was just around the corner there, and all the issues that came with the vast investment. As a country, we need to be mindful of the fact that our investments are not protected. And so if you're putting money into vehicles that promise you very high returns, be careful, because those same vehicles will go away with your money, and it is not the responsibility of government to come and refund that money when it goes wrong because you are making an investment decision. These are difficult conversations that we need to have, and once we need to champion that. We have to champion that.
And that's the head of marketing at Stanbic Bank Ghana, Malko Afajin, and 25 years of providing compelling content to the business community. Like the likes of Stanbic Bank Ghana. It was a very interesting meeting this morning. I mean,
yeah,
you should have been there, you know.
Did you invite me? I heard all about it. Yeah. Okay. But it's 25 years of broadcasting excellence, so I'll pardon you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, George. Let's do some of your comments that you sent in. That's via WhatsApp 0244340437. This one from Kofi in Tamale says, President Mahama is in a haste to return simply because President Akufo-Addo has failed. Kofi Seidu says President Akufo-Addo should be told in plain language that former President Mahama is in a haste to come to power because he wants to come and save this country from getting into an abyss. Now, this one also says the non-payment of NHIS claims is a general problem to all providers, including quasi-government health facilities. The whole of 2019 were paid only the first 2 months of the total claims submitted. If NHIA is blaming providers, do they mean all providers submitted their claims late? How possible is this? He sends no name, but I appreciate if you can add your name so we can interact better. This one's from Righteous in Abutia Copper in Keta. He says, in fact, the coming back of former President John Mahama to power is like building a house only with sand without cement. The former president cannot even make, he should stop dreaming when the day is bright. Now, Michael Amini in UK says, as a matter of fact, the conduct of the minority caucus walkout of parliament is very reckless, irresponsible and disappointing, and the action today has serious repercussion for their credibility as an alternative government. How possible can the minority disrespect Ghanaians and ask for the mandates of the same? Kotoka Courage in Angloga says, I am happy for what the minority did today by walking out, and I'll be happy if they can also not debate on the issues of SONA since the president also decided not to listen to them. We're waiting for December 7. Berima Kubaji in Jinejene says, the noise about the majority not allowing the minority to debate the SONA is the funniest joke ever staged. It is pretty obvious that no one will debate the SONA because I don't know whether the majority will take the microphones from the minority. The NPP and its government are simply so risible. And as you know what that means, they are also pained by the workhouse. Now, Kwesi says, I think we have heard enough of failed promises from our politicians from the two leading parties in the country over this galamsey menace. It is now time for civil society and citizenry to lead a crusade on this canker. I'll take the final one for now from Obing in Tiamwa in Osino. Says last year, His Excellency the President announced the year of return. He has announced his running mate this year. That tells you a visionary leader who is Mahama's running mate. NDC should spare us the gimmicks. Of course, they are within their time to announce who the running mate is. But let's stay on politics a while longer, this time in the Ashanti Mampong, in the Ashanti region, because the divisional commander, that's the police divisional commander, has opened investigations into Wednesday's bloody clashes between supporters of two parliamentary aspirants of the NPP over filing of nomination forms. Checks at the Mampong Government Hospital revealed 5 people who reported at the facility with varied degrees of injuries ranging from neck, head and hand injuries have all been treated and discharged. Divisional Commander Chief Superintendent David Kofi Amwaku says the command has extended the invitation to the victims of yesterday's clashes. Ohiming Teria is on the security desk here at Joy News. He has more in the following report.
Club-wielding supporters of incumbent MP Kwakusapon Amprechum engaged in the free-for-all fight with those of former presidential aspirant Francis Adenimo at the party's office on Wednesday. Police were called in after the clash to maintain law and order. The scene of the clash, the party's constituency office, had been left open with items scattered on the floor. One of the injured victims is 35-year-old Awal Ibrahim, also known as Obo, a known supporter of the incumbent MP, Sapon Amprechum. He suffered head, hand and chest injuries in the clash.
My injuries is my head and it was very serious. My body, as I'm talking to you, one of my arms, I'm not feeling well. And my finger is very serious. I'm feeling pains in my hand. The internal ones are very serious than the one I just having it on my head. So it was very serious.
What has police been telling you after the report, the complaints that you lodged with the police?
Well, they have said nothing yet. I just received a call from the divisional police commander and that I should report at his office within 10 minutes.
Ibrahim was seen beaten to unconscious. A supporter of Mr. Adainimo, identified only as Kwame after hitting him with a club, defending his action. He told Joy News his action was for self-protection.
We were only two and we tried to even just protect ourselves.
So how did you protect yourself in the process?
We were holding nothing. So you see, they were holding chains and whatever. They were just using the things on us. So I tried and snatched one of the sticks. So I used it to one of them. I hit it with him. So he just fell down, and I got the space with my brother, and we just ran down there from the story building down there. Not knowing there were even plenty down there, down of the story building. Yes, so they continue beating us. So we tried defending ourselves, and police station was just near the party office. So we just rushed to the police station and reported to them, and they took her to the hospital.
Another victim, Amenyampon Prince, who sustained neck injuries, is unable to speak properly following Wednesday's attack. Meanwhile, Mr. Adainimo has filed his nomination forms at the regional office on Thursday. From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
Now, thankfully, we've been joined on the phone by the NPP Ashanti Regional Secretary, Mr. Sampine. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. Mr. Sampine, has your party recovered from the embarrassing incident yesterday?
Good evening, Emefa. We as a party condemned that act in no certain terms yesterday and this morning, and on all other networks that we had the opportunity to speak into that matter. And I've urged supporters of the party to be circumspect in whatever actions that they take in their quest to become MPs or whatever officials that they want to be within the party. One important thing that we've done is that we've asked the police to look at the criminal aspect of what happened and make the laws apply. Also, as a political party, we're looking at the political angle as we started our own investigation to identify those who were involved as much as we can. Also, look at what brought about everything and the infractions and all that, and even identify party officers who were involved for possible political party action. So we're not sitting down unconcerned, and it is my firm belief that yes, by the close of our investigations and all the other actions, sanity will prevail, not only in Mampomba, but within the party.
So at the end of the investigations from your party, for instance, you've talked about the investigation, identification, while the criminal proceedings also go on with the police. We've heard from the superintendent on that. But what kind of actions are outlined or stipulated for such incidents within your party?
Yeah, our constitution, Article 3D, talks about the conduct and the duties of a party member. And one of them is to it's an unlawful act to attack physically, violently, or even with physical abuse or verbal abuse a party member. Do acts that tends to mar the integrity of the party in public and all of these things. So when you do some of these things, then definitely you have caused infractions within the rules and regulations of the party, and therefore sanctions may prevail based upon your position within the party. If you are a police station officer, the constituency party will deal with you. If you are a constituency officer, the regional party will deal with you. And if you are a regional officer, national party. So we are going to look at that. That's why I said we investigate, and when we get a corporate, when we get people who have wronged, it's the legal ones, that's the laws of the land that they've been infringed upon, the police will take action. And the ones that are politically based as per the party's rules, we're also going to look at it.
Now, finally, Mr. Pai, and there were issues about forms and its availability to those who wanted to contest, especially leadership of your party in the Ashanti region. We knew about Swami, Bekwai, amongst others. Have these issues been resolved? Have they all been able to pick forms?
All constituencies eventually had forms. Every person who wanted to contest had forms, and that I believe most of them have filed. I'm waiting for returns from all the 44 consensus that we worked on, and by the close of tomorrow we'll get a full list out so that you know those who picked and those who did not submit.
We're grateful for your time. That's the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the NPP, Sampai. Now, the majority leader and MP for Swami, Osechi Mensa Bonsu, is set to run unopposed in NPP's upcoming parliamentary primaries. Now, this is despite potential threat by another aspirant. Polling station executives in the constituency are pushing for a no contest, as 600 of them petitioned the constituency party leadership. Constituency Secretary Pius Echampong tells Joy News the request of the 600 out of the 765 delegates will be granted. Ohiming Teria, once again with this report.
Swami NPP Constituency Secretary Pius Echampong tells Joy News The petitioners form majority of 765 delegates. Mr. Chairman Sabonsu has himself filed forms on Tuesday to contest the April parliamentary primaries. He told journalists he is open for contest irrespective of the outcome of the petition.
If you are outside there making noise, that's what I said the other time, that clearly it's empty noise. I think that if you are minded to come and contest, do so with decency. Whatever the party decides, I'm not the party.
Last week, some chiefs, led by Kwaprahine, Bafo Educhemfi Kumenini, entreated party delegates to allow the majority leader to go unopposed. Swami NPP Secretary Pius Echampon says the executives have legitimate concerns which cannot be brushed aside.
Some of the delegates personally came here, including their coordinators and electoral coordinators. They came here telling me that as an administrator for the constituency, they are telling me that they don't want any contest in Swami constituency. They came here with a petition like that, and in number it's more than even 600. Therefore, we are going to grant them that wish.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
Time now for sports. Benedict Owusu, you have the very latest.
Yes, Emefa. Now, 3 games were played today to complete match day 11 of the Ghana Premier League. Now, King Faisal are still winners as they drew 1-1 with Legon Cities at the Linkley Stadium in Obuasi Bukum. Chelsea returned to winning ways as they beat Olympics 1-0 at the Accra Stadium, and Liberty couldn't replicate their 5-2 win over Indiana Stars last Sunday at the Carindorf Park as they lost 2-1 to Bichim United. Now, away from the Premier League, sports had its share at today's State of the Nation address presented by His Excellency Nana Adedankwa Akufo-Addo.
We're making sure there will be room for the future Alice Anums, Micah Hayes, and Baba Yaras to develop their skills. We want to make sure that when our children turn on the televisions to watch sporting programs, they will be able to find on the track and field and track Ghanaians competing at the highest level. It was with considerable reluctance, Mr. Speaker. The government had to intervene in the administration of football when we decided to dissolve the OGFA because of the bribery and corruption.
Alright, so we definitely will hear more from Nana Adedankwa Akufo-Addo tomorrow on the Joy Sports Center. Well, the head coach of Halifax Ladies, Mercy Kwakutego, has resigned from the Tema-based club after 1 season with immediate effect. We hear from her tomorrow why she, resigned from the club. And also, Manchester United currently are drawing 1-1 with Club Brugge in the UEFA Europa League. Last night we saw action in the UEFA Champions League as well as on Tuesday. Other games currently ongoing. Frankfurt winning 2-0 to Salzburg. Celtic also winning 1-0 away to Copenhagen. And then Getafe Ajax is 1-0 in favor of Getafe. There will be more on this plus other stories when you join us tomorrow on the Joy Sports Center with my colleague Georgia Dujina.
Thank you very much, Benedict. Now, a customs officer whose vehicle was involved in a collision with a Land Cruiser carrying Minority Chief with Mutraka Mubarak and his deputy last weekend has challenged the count he was the cause of the accident. The BMW vehicle of William Isiakwe Champong was rammed into on the side by the MP's vehicle at Kubiase near Edriso on the Accra-Kumasi Highway last Saturday. Mr. Champong denies claims he failed to observe road traffic regulations. Listen to him speak to him in Teria.
The decision of the second in command at the Kubasi Customs checkpoint to dash home after work to freshen up for lectures ended him being pronounced dead.
Just a few meters from the barrier, just approaching the junction to our branch to the house, I showed the traffic indicators as usual. My left hand was outside to add up to the signals to signal the incoming vehicles from behind. And so I had done that. I was virtually out entering into where our residential facility is, and all of a sudden the car ran into my vehicle from behind. And that was the last thing that I saw.
Just moments after setting off in his BMW car, volunteers pulled him, presumably lifeless, after a Land Cruiser vehicle whose occupants included the MPs ran into his car.
I lost consciousness, so at the scene I don't know what exactly happened, but I was informed that they put branches of leaves on me, thinking that I was dead.
Mr. Echampon tells me how he was taken for dead as he lay by the roadside helpless.
But for the intervention of the officer that came and tested for my pulse and did the mouth-to-mouth inhalation,
I don't know what would have happened to me. The guy that came to even do the mouth resuscitation and stuff was a new officer that has been posted to the place.
That's the customs officer, William Isiakwe Champong, and he has since resolved to join the Joy News Arrive Alive campaign to end the accidents on our roads and save lives. This evening, whilst you're driving, please make sure you don't drive and drink or drink and drive or text or be on your phone whilst driving, and always remember to wear your seatbelt. And just before we go, it's been 25 years of touching lives, shaping minds and influencing policy from the streets to offices and the church. Everybody has a joy story, including you. Yes, you. Today we hear from the General Secretary of the Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Cyril Fayose, who says the station has influenced his life positively both on the personal level and professionally. I leave you with that. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Thanks so much for your company.
First of all, I must say congratulations to Joy FM. You have been a major player.